What is going on? What's going on, everybody? We got more breaking news. Okay, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. We've got this Javonte Williams piece of news that is brand new, and I wanted to go live on this because I had everybody messaging me on this because I did a video early this morning that Javonte Williams was behind schedule, could be ready for week 1, and so this piece of news here, we got to talk about this piece of news here. Now, I created that video last night, and I did let me get all this other stuff out of the way. I created that video last night, and I saw this news this morning, and of course, that's the way it works for me. You know, you spend 2 hours, 3 hours on a video, you upload it. The minute you publish it, new news breaks, it changes and alters the video you created. So now we got Javonte Williams potentially being ready for week 1. In my video this morning that I created last night, that I posted in a live premiere, where I said Javonte Williams is behind schedule, if we got new news that suggested that Javonte Williams was not behind schedule anymore, we would come in and recalibrate. Well, minutes after I posted the video, we're here to recalibrate. And so now we're recalibrating on Javonte Williams and whether Javonte Williams is going to be a player that we expect to be ready for week 1. There was a lot of talk about him starting the season on PUP. He tore his ACL, which on the back of this model, you can see it. It's in the middle of the knee with the PCL. He tore the ACL. He also tore his LCL, not a complete tear, not a grade 3. Usually you don't tear the LCL or the MCL in half. But when you tear your ACL, typically your knee's going left to right, right? And that's how you snap that ACL in the back of the knee. Just pops it right in half, snaps it like a rubber band in half. Well, this situation here that we're looking at with the LCL and the ACL tear, we had Javonte Williams' knee going like that, and it stretches that LCL. He tore his LCL and his ACL. He has a much more extensive injury than Breece Hall. So the thinking is, when I created my video last night, and it still feels like it's very much this way, more so than not, that Javonte is going to be struggling to get back on the field for week 1. This report, this is from the general manager. I'm not saying that we shouldn't take it seriously. I'm not trying to come up with some kind of way to paint my other video in a positive light. Look, I said in the video, if new news breaks, we will recalibrate. Well, here we are. Here we are, ready to recalibrate and talk about this from a different angle. I don't know if my intro is working. I'm going to punch a button. It may not be working yet, but I'll punch the intro right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
So, back talking about Javonte Williams. The phone lines will be open. You guys can file on in and ask a question. The phone lines are open. Let me put the phone line on the screen here, and you guys can dial on in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
602-635-3664. Dial into the show. Your boy Smitty works for you, so I'm ready to answer all the questions you have relating to Javonte Williams, relating to Aaron Rodgers, relating to whatever you have on your mind. So dial on in. My expectation for Javonte is this. Let me change the topic here. What's up, Kyle? Appreciate you being in here, buddy boy. Javonte, my expectation for Javonte is as follows. I see Javonte as more of the Barkley, maybe not the J.K. Dobbins if this report's true. J.K. Dobbins wasn't ready for week 1. Saquon Barkley wasn't ready for week 1, but they put him out on the field. They, rushed him along. I think if he's ready for week 1, and this is just my early guess, I think he's going to be more close to the Barkley track than he will like the Adrian Peterson track. I think Breece Hall's more close to the Adrian Peterson track than he is the Barkley track. But that could change. Like if we get more positive news, like this guy's running out there cutting, things look great, then I start really liking Javonte again. So it's all about recalibrating and reassessing your expectation. I'm never going to just stick to my guns if something changes. If we get new news and Javonte Williams is looking very much likely to start week 1. Right now, we're hearing a GM talk positively about his RB. We need to make sure Javonte escapes the NFL draft without seeing a big-name running back land on the roster. I'm talking about a big-name running back. I'm not scared about a 6th, 7th, or 8th ranked running back landing on the roster as backup or depth. Everybody needs a backup running back. But if he escapes the NFL draft, Javonte Williams, without a big-name running back getting drafted, that is a huge win and a huge likelihood that Javonte will at some point be doing hopefully what he was doing before he tore his ACL, which was leading the league in broken tackles, being an absolute monster. And I don't want to hear that we were wrong about Javonte Williams' timeshare situation, because Melvin Gordon was eventually not even in the picture. Like, Javonte Williams, had he not torn his ACL, would have been a top 5 running back in fantasy football 2023 or 2022. I firmly believe that in my soul. I'd take it to my grave. Javonte Williams would have been a top 5 running back at some point. And finished in that top 5 or 6 at least, even with the slow start, because the timeshare was not going to be a problem. They were struggling to find any running back they could at some point during the season. Javonte's path would have been open. He tore his ACL. We couldn't have seen it coming. And I'll be rooting for him. Javonte, I'll be rooting for him. Even in my Instagram story, short that I put up, or no, my YouTube short, I put a little crying emoji, next to Javonte Williams not be ready for week 1, sad face. Now it's looking like there's at least a hope that he could be. So that's good. Let's play it by ear. Let's not overreact to the GM talking about it, but if we're going to get excited about Breece Hall's recovery with good news, we should get a little bit excited about Javonte Williams' with good news. The only difference being that his injury is much more severe than Breece Hall's, so I'm a little more skeptical that this is just GM talk, but it is good news, and we haven't had good news yet on Javonte. This is good news. The last thing we heard was he'd start the season on the PUP. So this is great news to walk into today. Mitch, appreciate you being here. Bruce and Ron, you guys can dial back in if you want to talk Javonte real quick. We're not going to be here for very long on this topic, but we always say that we've been live for 7-8 minutes. We might just be live for, another hour, and I expect not to be, and then we are. Like, that's the way it rolls for me. I always expect to be in and out, and I'm here for like an hour or two. So who knows? But appreciate you, Mitch, being here. Appreciate Brucey. Phone lines are open. Dial in if you want to talk Javonte Williams. I'm sorry I ended the other live stream and came right live here, but I wanted to create a whole compartmentalized separate live stream on this topic because I didn't want to have this embedded in the middle of the other live stream talking about Aaron Rodgers. I wanted people to be able to find it really easily. All right, Brucey, you're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Bruce, what are you thinking about Javonte? And is this GM talk, or are we getting excited about Javonte?
Hold on. Damn phone. You there? I can't hear you.
Brucey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
What's up, Smitty?
What's up, Bruce? Do you believe this is GM talk, or are we really looking at a really nice piece of positive news on Javonte Williams?
I had the same injury as Javonte, believe it or not.
Yes,
and,
sir.
I believe we're getting positive news. I mean, I did it in wrestling. I was a wrestler. I played football like 2 years. But in wrestling, I had the same injury, and I only took that long to recover. So it wasn't like it took me forever to recover.
Yeah, but you're a specimen, Bruce.
Oh, yeah. I should get in shape.
So when I tore my ACL, I had the same injury as Javonte, but worse. I had meniscus tear. I had the LCL tear. I had a grade 2 MCL tear, and I had a total ACL, tear, and then, like I said, the meniscus. So I had the gauntlet. I had the gauntlet of ACL injuries. The only thing I didn't have was the PCL and patellar. But I tore my patellar, many years later. But I will say that the recovery's tough when you have multiple knee injuries because there's multiple problems. There's multiple reasons for swelling. There's multiple reasons that you could have to have a second cleanup surgery. The fact that we're not hearing, and they could just not be reporting on it. The fact that we're not hearing that there's, meniscus damage, that's a real problem, because meniscus damage is really bad. Meniscus damage in some ways is worse than a clean ACL tear, because it puts the knee, it takes the knee off a line. It's like the alignment of a car. And if you start losing that padding, then it just starts like digging in more and more. And you can imagine that if you just went into your brake pads, into your right corner of your vehicle on the one brake pad, and cut a sliver out and lowered it a little bit, your entire alignment of your car is going to be off, and slowly you're gonna just wear down that brake pad, and the brake pads won't wear the same. That's why when you go to get your brake pads done, a lot of times they're blowing smoke up your rear end. But there is some truth behind, hey, if you replace just the back and not the front, that you're going to have a mismatch of the thickness, and it's going to wear them differently. And so that's true. So in the case of that meniscus tear, if you don't have a meniscus tear, which we aren't hearing that Javonte has, at least I haven't, that's good news. And that if we're talking about an LCL, and we're also talking about the ACL, which he's recovering from the same as Breece Hall, maybe the LCL sprain is no longer even an issue. And like, if I hear a report like that, that's fantastic. So I'm encouraged by this. And again, I wanted to go live because my video this morning, the worst timing, that's usually the way it is. I'll create a 2 or 3 hour video, or editing a video for 2 or 3 hours. I'll do a live premiere. I'll put it up, and then an hour later news breaks. I did this on Antonio Brown. Remember when Antonio Brown was getting traded to the Buffalo Bills? And I created this whole video and did that year, released it like an hour later. After it was released, Antonio Brown refuses to go to the Buffalo Bills. I had to do a video on that. Then I had to create, like, this is par for the course for what I do. And the news breaking this morning, right after my premiere on he's probably starting the year on PUP. This is fantastic news. I'm not mad about it. I don't care that I wasted my time creating a video, because it's still I think educated everybody on how much I love Breece Hall. So that's fine. I'm excited. I'm rooting for Javonte. I want Javonte to be a running back one again very, very soon. I want to be able to root for this guy. Ron, what do you think about Javonte?
Well, I like it now that you're talking about it, because when I heard it, when I hear it from like GMs and stuff, I know I like to have your take on it, because the insides and outs, and sometimes GMs or coaches just say stuff to say it. But having him on a dynasty team, that's good, because remember we were asking about those, what's his value and all that. And so to have encouraging news like this actually bumps his value up some, and then, you kind of like, okay, well, maybe I'll hold on to him. Maybe he won't miss the whole year. Maybe he has a chance to get back.
Yeah, I think what we're waiting for next is, can he escape the NFL draft without the Denver Broncos drafting a big-name running back? Or does he escape free agency even without Sean Payton like bringing in a Josh Jacobs or something crazy? That's going to be something we're going to be keeping our eyes on, because all those things are certainly possible. I don't think they'll bring in a Josh Jacobs, but like you never know. So I think Peyton's smart enough to know that Javonte is literally, he was on the cusp of becoming an elite running back at the next level, and Sean Payton's great for him. When Sean Payton landed in Denver, we all kind of in our mind rejoiced for a moment, I'm sure, going, Javonte, he's injured. And it's like, dang it. How long is he going to be out? We keep hearing PUP. He's going to start the year on the PUP. His injury is so much more severe than Breece Hall's, and it is. It's not. That's not cap. But maybe his LCL healed already. It's possible. And the LCL, I will tell you, if you're going to tear one of these two ligaments on the side of the knee, the LCL, the MCL, you want to tear the LCL, because I've tore both of them. And my LCL, I don't have a problem with. I've never even felt my LCL now that it's recovered. And like by the time my ACL recovered, my grade 1 to 2 LCL tear, it totally healed in advance of the ACL. What doesn't heal is as good as that MCL. That MCL to this day, I had a grade 2 tear on my MCL. To this day, I feel pain in my MCL when the weather changes. To this day, I have issues with my MCL, and my ACL it actually healed like a lot slower than my ACL reconstruction. So this is good news that it was the LCL and not his ACL or MCL. It's just the two injuries together. It makes him a little more problematic of a recovery.
Yeah, but I mean, you said that, because Breece Hall is young, that he should have a quick recovery, and it'd be like he'd never even know that he had it. But Javonte's young too, so I mean,
for sure,
should have a pretty quick healing process too. Even though it's, we know it's more, it's worse than Breece's situation, but he's young, so it's possible that he's healing fast too because he's not old.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and he's a specimen of an athlete. So, like Bruce, him and Bruce they come from the same cloth.
As long as he doesn't do, like when I had mine torn, I had the advice of a doctor, don't do this, and I did it anyway, and I retore it. As long as he listens to what the physicians say, he'll be good.
Bruce, what did you do when he said don't do this? What was that advice, and what did you end up doing?
Well, I like to lift weights, and he said don't squat heavy, and I squatted heavy, and I retore it.
Brucey, what were you thinking, bro? What were you thinking? Yeah, they tell you never. When I tore my ACL, they told me never do those leg curls again on the whatever. Because that's all that you give so much pressure on your ACL when you're doing those leg curls on the machine with the weights. You can't do that. He said never again do that because you're gonna have a different ACL concern than the average person to re-tear it. So the ACL, what they do with the ACL is they cut a window. They used to take a cadaver ACL, a deceased person's ACL, and they used to put that in because you had a faster healing process. So in the NFL players would get a cadaver ACL, and a regular layman like myself and Brucey, we would get the patellar tendon window cut or the hamstring. So they cut out a piece. Did you get the hamstring or the patellar tendon one, Bruce?
I got the patellar tendon one.
Yeah. So they cut out on your good patellar tendon on the same knee. They'll cut out a window, a little tiny strip. Almost think of it like a stereo strip. They'll cut that out, and then that way, kind of like when you pierce your tongue. I don't know if you got a tongue ring, Bruce, but when you pierce your tongue, yeah, they do it in the middle, right? And then when you take it out, it heals, right? So they cut a hole in your patellar tendon in the middle, and that way it can kind of heal and grow back over a little bit. They take that piece of patellar tendon and they drill it in to become your new ACL. Now, it's a tendon, not a ligament. So the way it becomes ligament form is the tendon, patellar tendon, the piece, dies, hardens, and becomes a ligament. It's a makeshift way to make a ligament. It takes a lot of time to heal that, and when you're drilling that in, Brucey goes out and lifts weights, it slips right out, pulls right out of the hole that they drilled it in. So then you have to have a whole nother ACL reconstruction. You can't continue to have one after the other. It's like trying to screw a screw into the door jamb over and over. Eventually, you're gonna have problems trying to put a new one in over and over.
Well, I got the same advice after the second time. I was like, yeah, I ain't doing this the third time, but he told me the same thing as you. I pretty much can't do legs anymore. Anyway, because I didn't wait, I pretty much can't do legs anymore.
Yeah, I got such bad tendonitis in my knees and everything. I can't do a lot of squat stuff anymore. Anyways, do we have anybody else on the phone? Dial in if you guys want to get in on this little panel here. But we're talking about Javonte Williams. The odds of Javonte Williams being ready for Week 1 just increased. I wouldn't say it's a lock just because the GM's coming out and talking about it. I'd feel better if we heard something a little more concrete than the GM. GMs tend to run their mouth about stuff that they're getting phone calls on. This is the way I picture it. Here's the training staff, the people responsible for bringing Javonte along, and you have the GM going, how's it looking? It's great. Is he going to be ready for week 1? We're going to do our best to get him ready for week 1, Al. I promise you. Okay, great. And then somebody talks.
I'd rather had Hey, Smitty.
Yeah.
Hey, you think it's a smoke screen? You think they're just saying that just to say that?
Oh, this is Charles. Charles. I thought we had somebody else on the line. Okay, Charles.
It's Charles.
Yeah, Charles. Appreciate you being on the line. Is it a smoke screen? I'm going to venture on the side of no. I'm hopeful. Maybe I'm hopeful. Maybe I'm just hopeful. I wish there was a different report than the GM saying it. That's all I'm saying. Like if there was a report, I don't know, Sean Payton or somebody else coming out with it, it'd feel a little bit better. But it doesn't mean it's not true. Just because the GM's talking about it. I just think that I can't wait to hear more confirmed sources or information on it. And like if I hear like his LCL healed and he's just training right now and he's out, he's out running or cutting or something like that. Like once we hear that, I'm going to feel real excited. But like Ron said, when I talk about ACLs, the younger you are, the more of a chance it literally becomes not even a problem at all. Like, like a rookie coming out of college that tears their ACL. Todd Gurley tore his ACL and entered the draft process, came out and had a great first year. So the fact that Javonte and Breece Hall are so young, Breece Hall more so than Javonte, by a little bit, but it's almost like when you're under 20, how old's Javonte? He's got to be like 22, right? Let me see.
But you think if he's not ready for week 1, you think they will bring another running back? But then you have the good old Russell 007 Wilson issue that I don't think now that players want to play with Russell Wilson because of the season he had.
Javonte's 22. He'll be 23 in April. So he's a little older than Breece Hall, but it's still young. When you're 21, 22, and I'd say even 23 is fine, you're on a whole different level of healing. And okay, so there's that. As for whether they bring in a runner, the problem is, though, they need to make an assessment right now. And the great news of this news coming out before the draft is that they're having, obviously, internal discussions, whether, again, it's smoke screen. It could be just to keep people thinking they're not drafting a running back. I don't know. Could be smoke screen. But to have this news come out earlier is better because you don't want Sean Payton going into the war room and sitting there saying, look, Javonte, how long is this guy going to be out? Hit me with the facts. And the training staff's like half a year. We can't put him back on the field in week 1. Like if they're talking like that, Sean Payton's going to draft an RB. And so that's where I'm.
They only got 5 draft picks this year. And that's 2 in the 3rd round, and then the 5th round, and then the 6th round.
I should say draft an RB or sign a free agent RB. So if we look at the free agent RB list, like a Jamal Williams would be a thorn in his side potentially, because of his touchdown production. And I'd hate for them to bring in a touchdown specialist is what the way they would look at Jamal. Anybody that signs Jamal Williams is going to be like, we're getting a touchdown specialist. And it's like, oh, God, there go all Javonte's touchdowns. Kareem Hunt would be a disaster signing because he's a really talented, well-versed running back. Devin Singletary, bring it. I don't care. Damian Harris, bring it. I could care less about him. He's very injury prone. Miles Sanders, I could care less about Miles Sanders. I don't think he's that talented. If they bring in David Montgomery, we might be in some trouble. So a lot of things are going to be a concern for me still. And again, ultimately, Javonte is older than Breece Hall. And so there's a few more factors that make me still concerned, like cautiously concerned. Like I should be concerned and cautious with it versus telling you all, oh, this means he's ready to go. Let's go. Like I'm not going to do that, but I am going to tell you I'm recalibrating slightly to say, okay, he was supposed to start on PUP, and now we're getting word from the GM, who's an authority figure. I mean, he should know everything that's going on, whether he's being told it just, to make him feel good or not. I don't know. And sometimes GMs speak about things in weird ways that coaches don't. So whenever a GM says something, you do wonder a little bit. It's just natural to be like, okay, that's coming from the GM. When Jerry Jones talks, you're like, what's your owners and GMs, and it's tough. It's tough to know, but GMs are better than owners. Like if an owner talks about something, they barely know, what's going on. But at least it's the GM. So the GM saying ACL on track for week 1. I'm very encouraged. I just wanted to come out and do a live stream on that. I'm very encouraged. Makes me feel like the PUP's not a lock anymore. That's great. That's great news. He is turning 23 before the season starts, so he's older than Hall. His injury was worse than Hall's, but maybe his LCL is a complete non-factor now. Maybe it was a grade 1. I don't even know if it was a grade 1 tear or a grade 2. I don't know if there's a clarity on that floating around out there. But Javonte could start week 1. That's fantastic news. Just, yes, we're praying for no big-name free agent wide receiver acquisition. We're praying for no late 3rd round, 4th round steal of a running back grab like Kendre Miller or something. I just feel like there's more risk of Denver drafting or bringing in a free agent running back threat than there is in New York. But then again, you never know. They could bring in somebody. Like, you just never know. But I would say there's still more of a risk of Javonte than being prepared and having a big name in. But who's to say if they bring in a big name like Monty that they're not going to say, look, Monty, we're going to utilize you, but it is Javonte's team. We don't know. No one knows. There's just more risk involved in Javonte than Brees. So my video still holds true that I dropped this morning. It's just, as I said in the video, if new news emerges, we'll recalibrate, and we are. But we still need to be cautiously optimistic.
Hey, Smith, thanks for inviting me to your stream. I appreciate it. I have to go. But I just want to know, how was your Jolly Bee experience? My
Jolly Bee was good. It's about a 40-minute drive. So I had to drive 40 minutes there. Waited for a huge long line. So it was about, 30 minutes total there. And then 40 minutes back. So it is quite a hike for me. And I told Ron, I said before I tried it, when I was driving home with it, I said, this better suck because it's really far. And if I get addicted to it, that means I'd have to drive all the way out there. But I'd have to say that if it was nearby, I think I would frequent it quite a bit. Because it's so far, it's probably going to be more of a treat for me. But I liked it. I have to say that gravy did the trick. The chicken tasted about as good as Popeyes. I think Popeyes is really good. But that gravy just was something different, and I like the idea of it to give you a big old thing of gravy. You dip everything in the gravy, like Ron said. I got a chicken sandwich. I dipped that in the gravy, and I found myself just drowning everything in the gravy, and it made everything just taste really, really good. So I have to say, if it was near me, I'd probably eat it like a lot, a couple times a week.
Wow. All right, take care, Smith.
All right, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you. Does Popeye's chicken have gravy that you can just dip? I don't think that. I think you could get like a side of gravy, but they'd be like, what do you want it for?
But they have gravy in mashed potatoes, but
can I have a side of gravy?
I don't like it.
Welcome to Popeye's Chicken. How can I help you? Yeah, can I have a big bowl of gravy? Oh, you went to Jolly Bees. You're trying to recreate Jolly Bees over here, aren't you? Yeah, I wish I could give everybody it's ready to go. Javonte's good to go, but I can't do that. I can just come in and say, look, it changed. Situation changed literally an hour after I posted that video. But we still have every threat that I laid out in my video still remains. You got potential other running back competition maybe coming in if the Broncos are concerned about his week 1 availability. If they're not concerned, if this is absolutely rooted in truth that he's on track to play week 1, maybe Sean Payton's going to say what Ron said. We only got so many draft picks. We got other holes. We're going to go ahead and trust the process. Javonte will be back. We'll bring in somebody cheap. Like Damian Harris. Big deal. I don't care. or maybe they like the running backs they have on roster with Javonte. Let's see who's actually still on the roster. I don't know if Lat Murray.
Draft picks that way too.
Actually,
I don't know if Lat Murray was on a 1-year deal. I'm sure he was.
I'd be scared if they brought in like a Montgomery or Harris, just on the simple fact that might take his touchdown production down. Like in the goal line, they might bring in the bigger back.
It's a concern. Anytime you bring in another player, it's a concern, right? Unless they don't have anybody. If all these running backs are gone, like if Lat Murray's not coming back, I don't know what Lat Murray's contract was. Let me look up Lat Murray's contract. Latavius Murray contract.
But with a coach like Sean Payton, you saw how he was with Kamara and how he was with
free agent.
Adler.
Yeah, so here's. Yeah, I hear you, Ron, and that's why I'm excited when Sean Payton landed with the team.
Yeah, they both got production. It didn't affect Kamara. He knows how to handle those.
I was excited. Sean Payton announcement excited me massively. But when we look at the Denver Bronco running back room, I don't know that they have anybody on the roster other than Javonte. So they're bringing in an RB no matter what. Lat Murray was on a 1-year deal. Chase Edmonds, what's his contract? Let's see here. Let's see what Chase Edmonds' contract is. Chase Edmonds is... So they're definitely going to draft a running back late or bring in a running back there are players lower than. So Chase Edmonds is under contract through 2023. He's a free agent in 2024. So it's possible they're like, okay, we got Chase Edmonds, we got Javonte, and we're going to sign a much lower name than even Sanders or Harris. Maybe they bring in some really low name running back and they roll with that. That would be ecstatic. If Javonte escapes the NFL draft in April without another RB being drafted, another big name RB, I'm gonna feel very, very good about Javonte's at least second half surge. Will I be cautious in week 1 through 4? PUP could be in play. Yes, I think we still need to prepare ourselves for the PUP. And we still have to prepare ourselves for, look at J.K. Dobbins and look at Barkley. They weren't ready. But if they don't draft a rookie, I'm feeling a whole lot better about Javonte's at least second half of the season and his future. If I owned him in Dynasty, this news does make me pause on getting rid of him.
Yeah.
Oscar, you're live on the Fantasy Football Show. How long have you been waiting there?
It's been a while. Hey, Smitty, how you doing?
I'm sorry, Oscar, bro. I'm so sorry.
No
Oscar,
worries.
what can we do for you,
Enjoying
Oscar?
all the great discussion and content firsthand.
Okay, what can we do for you, pal?
Hey, so I actually asked the question in the last stream, but I thought I'd just call in because I didn't get a chance to talk about it in regards to the Dynasty trade. I know it's a little off topic.
Okay.
So I have the 1.9 and looking to trade the 2.1 and a 2024 first round pick, and I just wanted to hear your thoughts in regards to that.
Trade the 1.9 for a 2024 what?
So it would be trading my 1.9 for their 2.1 and a 2024 first round.
Where's their 2024 first rounder going to be likely?
This is a startup dynasty draft, so
okay,
not exactly where it would be.
And these are rookie picks or your actual inaugural 1.9 and 2.1?
No, the inaugural one.
Oh, okay.
We're playing in a select startup dynasty. Yeah.
I'm glad I asked that. So yeah. Sometimes you have the separate rookie draft though. So okay, so you're talking about the inaugural 1.9 for 2.1, which is not that far apart. And quite honestly, you could The problem is you're not going to get Bijan, I doubt, in a dynasty startup at 9. What if he did fall though? I'd be devastated if I was watching the person at 1.9 get Bijan. But I mean, that puts you in a position to maybe reach on a quarterback where you wouldn't have at 1.9 if you wanted to go that route. It puts you in a position of taking Kenneth Walker or Breece Hall, who could fall there. It puts you in a position really. I think you're almost getting out of an awkward area where you're forcing yourself to take a guy that like you almost don't even want at 1.9. I don't know. It could go 100 different ways, but I think if you're getting a 2024 first and all you got to move down is from 1.9 to 2.1, I'd take it. Like, that's crazy. That's a good trade. You might draft the same guy and you're going to get a 2024 first rounder. Do I have that correct? Do I have that correct? You're moving down from 1.9 to 2.1 in the startup draft, not the rookie draft, the startup draft. And you're
Right.
and you're getting a 2024 first rounder. You might be drafted the same player.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Initially, when I had asked you, I was looking to trade upwards, considering it's a super flex, try to get a top 5 QB. But you mentioned that it was a bit costly putting my 24 first on the line. So the guy who I'm looking to do this with, I just countered with that and kind of waiting to see where
I like
go,
it.
But I wanted to hear this.
I like it because you might even want to go QB at 2.1. Like I know it's really, really early, but in a dynasty league, the advantage of having a Mahomes, a Hurts, a Burrow, or a Josh Allen is there's just no comparing that security to any other selection. And at 1.9 it's too early. So like 2.1, that's not bad. But you could also take it with your other second rounder that's a little later. You could take a quarterback there probably. I bet you get one of those 4 guys still. And I would take Kenneth Walker. I would take I'd take Breece Hall. I'd go wide receiver. I'd almost even say, like, even if you traded the 2.1 down and did it again, traded the 2.1 for like a 2.4, get somebody else's first rounder, and then take Garrett Wilson. You know what I mean? Like that would be fine by me too. Accumulating an extra 2024 first rounder just by moving down from 9 down to 13 overall is fantastic.
Perfect. Yeah, and actually, funny enough, I actually have the 2.4 as well. You mentioned that, so it helps me in terms of strategizing.
Yeah, so you probably get the quarterback there without hesitation. I would assume, unless it's 6 points per TD and everybody reaches. And is it a super flex? I assume it's not.
It's a super flex.
Oh, okay. Hold on. That's important. That's important information. Okay.
Quarterbacks will fly.
So yeah, if they're gonna fly anyway, I don't know that. Like, do you think you get Fields at 9, or is he gone? Or are the top 5 guys gone by 1.9?
I would think top 5 would be gone by 1.9 for sure.
Ron,
I was actually hoping, trying to get 1.5, but
Ron and the Bruce,
likely.
given the new information as a super flex, are you guys? I'm still on board with it, but that's a 2024 first rounder. That's awesome. What do you guys think? I think if you don't have a shot at one of the top 5 quarterbacks, you might as well move the pick down a couple and get a 2024 first. But
That's my opinion. I'd get the extra first.
Ron?
Yeah, well, that first is only going to be good for the rookies, and you don't know where it's going to be. So you're kind of taking a chance at that. I mean, what happens if you end up with the 11th or 12th next year first, and your team does well, and you get, I mean, you guys know Dynasty better than I do. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. You know that.
Yeah, well,
But,
the fact that he's only
Fields, he's a possibility you could get by doing that, and you might be able to stack them up with a nice receiver. You could take advantage of the fact that everybody's going quarterbacks right away, and you can get maybe that Bijan, or you can get maybe that elite player that's non-quarterback, because everybody's going to be going after quarterback. If you can get yourself, like what you're going to have, if you trade down, you're going to have the 2.1 and the 2.4, you said?
Right. If that trade goes through, I would have the 2.1 and the 2.4.
Versus the 1.9 and the 2.4. But it's not that big of a difference, though, with all the quarterbacks flying off. The only concern I'd have is if what Ron's saying, what I've said earlier, is if like Fields is there at 9 and you're going to be kicking yourself. But at the same time, like, I just feel like that first rounder, you could even trade it. Even if you don't wait to see what it becomes, you could trade that first rounder. You might even be able to flip it for another second round pick. You know what I mean? You might be able to, after you make this trade with them, say who wants to give me their second round pick for this first rounder, or a third round pick, or whatever. A lot of people will take a pick on the clock. Like, this is what I do in a lot of these startup inaugural drafts. When we get into the third round and there's a player there that I absolutely love and I can't believe they're still there, and I'm like, I'm not going to get him because I'm another 10 picks away, I'll offer my 2024 first rounder for that third rounder on the clock that moment, because I know who I'm getting. Doesn't even matter if, like, at the end of the day it was a bad trade, like, before the draft started. While on the clock, if I want Jahmyr Gibbs and Gibbs is sitting there, and I can get him with my 2024 first rounder, I'm trading my 2024 first rounder. So you may have an opportunity you could almost do this every single pick that's on the clock. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you're in the 3.1 and there's 7 guys you love. You could literally, when that guy's on the clock, you say you want this 2024 first rounder from Bob, because you're giving that guy's first rounder away, right? And he's like, no. Then the 3.2 guy's on the clock and your guys are still there. You go to that guy. You're like, I'll give you my 2024 second first rounder that I got for this pick right here. And you just keep doing it until the guys vanish or whatever. But you might end up getting like a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Christian Watson or a Garrett Wilson with this 2024 first rounder. So I'm kind of tempted to say,
super flex. You're gonna have pretty much the real draft starts in round 2, basically, because everybody's going to be going after quarterbacks. So all your normal players, your wide receivers and running backs that usually go in the first round and the second round, they're still going to be available in the second and third round.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. That you can, if you get this extra 2024 first rounder, every time someone's on the clock in the third round, you can offer that pickup for it. Say, hey, I'll give you this 2024 first rounder for this 3.3 on the clock. The guy says no. He drafts his player. 3.4 is on the clock. You go to that guy. You say, I'll give you this 2024 first rounder for the 3.4 right now. Eventually, you're going to get someone to say yes, and you're going to get a Garrett Wilson, a Drake London, a Kyle Pitts, a Jahmyr Gibbs, a Zach Charbonnet, whatever, using this 2024 first rounder that you're getting by moving down from 1.9 to 2.1. My only hesitation would be if you believe you could get one of the top 5 quarterbacks at 1.9, it would be a grave mistake to trade the 1.9. If you believe that Fields and everybody above Fields will be gone, I'd rather just have the 2.1, the 2024 first, so I could turn that 2024 first into whatever player I want that's on the clock at 3.1, 3.3, 3.5, 3.6. Because you can't, I mean, think about it from this perspective. Who you drafting at 1.9? Let's say the top 5 quarterbacks are gone. Who you drafting at 1.9? Just throw a name out, Oscar.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question. Who would I target at a 1.9, right?
Well, let's say the top 5 quarterbacks are gone, okay? Then you got JJ, Jamar Chase, they're gone. So 6, 7. You've got Christian McCaffrey. You've got maybe Bijan starts getting looked at there. You got those kind of players that are available maybe at 1.9. So if let's say you, instead of taking a Christian McCaffrey or a let me pull up some dynasty rankings here and just kind of look at it. So let's say you're passing on. So you won't have JJ, you won't have Jefferson, you probably won't have All 5 of the quarterbacks. So you're going to be looking at
Cooper Cup.
Walker, Hall, Garrett Wilson, Bijan, Cooper Cup, CeeDee Lamb. You're going to look at a plethora of guys right there that you might be considering. All of which, one of them or 2 of them are going to be available for you at your 2.1, and then all of them will be available like at your 1.9. So you can get for trading the opportunity of drafting that same player at 1.9. You maybe don't get the exact same player, but you get one of your guys at 2.1. You might get a free Jahmyr Gibbs. You might get a free Kyle Pitts. You might get a free Garrett Wilson. You might get a free, probably not Garrett Wilson. He's going to go early enough, but a free Christian Watson. Drake London, Christian Watson, Kyle Pitts, Jahmyr Gibbs, Zach Charbonnet. I could give you a free one of those players if you just move your 1.9 to 2.1 and maybe still draft the same guy in like Kenneth Walker. So I would do it because you can turn that 2024 first rounder when someone's on the clock in the 3rd round into that player.
I see. Yeah, no, that's very helpful. I actually didn't even think of it from that approach. Being a superflex, I would think first rounder would always be a QB, but
it will.
I didn't really keep that in mind.
Well, Mike, there might be seven or 8 quarterbacks go off. There's going to be a couple people that'll take advantage of like JJ and Chase, but most people will be going after quarterbacks and trying to get at least one because you need one before you have no choices. So, but like you said, if you move back, like Smitty says, you could get yourself a veteran quarterback like a Cousins or a Rodgers because you don't know, or a Carr. And then later on, a couple of them try to get like one of the rookie quarterbacks this year. Later on, you could pair them up, but then you're also getting your top tier running back, your top tier wide receiver, and at the same time,
Yeah, bro, I would do it. My only hesitation. Sorry, Ron.
No, I was going to say, well, everybody else is getting quarterbacks all there. They're not getting the receivers and top running back. So you have an opportunity to take those guys, and you might even take a guy that has some of the other players that you can use as trade later on. I did that with the super draft. I faded the quarterbacks, and I went after the top receivers, and I went after the top running backs, and then I faded the quarterback, and I did all right.
I would say this, Oscar. I'd say the only concern I have is that, okay, so you have Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and Hurts in any particular order fly off the board. Fields and Lamar Jackson and Trevor Lawrence, maybe even Herbert. That's 8 quarterbacks. So you have the opportunity to get a big-time signal caller at that 9 pick. And if not, you're getting JJ or Jamar Chase, So, like, I hesitate a little bit. But like Ron said, I kind of feel like rather than drafting Trevor Lawrence, who I like a lot, rather taking the gamble on Lamar, although Lamar in Atlanta would be phenomenal, and I'd actually like that. But he might go before 9 if he's in Atlanta. I think that I'd rather start Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, develop other quarterbacks. It sucks not having good quarterbacks in a super flex. So you got to make sure you get at least one potential, like Bryce Young or Stroud or someone like that. But like you could get Aaron Rodgers and Bryce Young, Aaron Rodgers and Stroud, Aaron Rodgers and one of those guys, and like you said, build up those other positions. Or you could even think of it like this. Use that 2024 first rounder to target your quarterback. So like let's say you move the 1.9 to 2.1 and you take Kenneth Walker or Breece Hall, a guy you kind of wanted at 1.9 anyway, maybe, but you take him at 2.1. Now you got this 2024 first rounder, and throughout the entire draft, try and grab the pick that's going to land a quarterback. So like if you're at 2.12. You talk to the guy. You're like, hey, you want this 2024 first rounder? He's like, no. So you get to like 3.2. You're asking that guy, do you want this 2024 first rounder? and you're trying to target a quarterback potentially with that pick. So ultimately you're getting Stroud and Kenneth Walker for just that 1.9. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I hear you.
Hey, Oscar, you know what else you can do, Oscar? Is you can have basically a cheat code right there, because Smitty offers to help people out in drafts. You pay for a phone call, he'll help you out, and you'll have him right in your back pocket helping you through the draft. He does that for people. So you got that option too. You just got to work it out with him, the time and when the draft is, and the availability.
Or if you're in a long draft and you can dial in as well. We'll help you out. Also, there's the text line. The text line is probably the most important way to try and get a hold of me, because if you go to thefantasyfootballshow.com, I have all the products there. There's a text line, one-on-one text device. So if you're in a draft, that'll be a good way too. But
what is that? What does it do, Smitty? For a personal phone call to help out with draft, what does that run on your site?
It's $19.99, and pretty much I try and call as fast as I can. So if somebody orders it, I try and you get a little form that you fill out, and you give me your best time that you'd like me to call you in. But usually, if I'm up, I'll try and dial somebody as quick as I can. It's a 10-minute phone call, so I can dial you up. So if you're in a bind, you can definitely do that.
Perfect. No, thanks for that.
Yeah, Oscar, anything else?
No, that's it. Those are all the questions I had. Thank you very much.
All right, Oscar, appreciate you. Yeah, call in anytime, pal. Sorry about the wait.
No worries. Appreciate
all right, later. Brucey, you got anything else? I'm going to go eat my omelet that I got 2 hours ago. It's sitting on the counter.
No, like I said, the only thing I had was about the Watson thing, and you answered that. But Javonte, as long as they don't bring in anybody, any big name, in my opinion, that's going to take goal line work and all that to take his touchdown production away.
Yeah, we'll be watching Denver closely, and see what they end up doing with their draft picks. But they don't have a ton of them, like Ron said. So either they're not going to take Bijan, they're not going to take Jahmyr Gibbs, but maybe the Denver Broncos have a running back fall in their lap, and we gotta monitor that. But there's definitely some hope that Javonte Williams doesn't have any crazy competition walking into 2021 week 1, and hopefully, like this report suggests, he's ready for week 1. That'll be fantastic news. And it's definitely different than what we've been hearing. We've been hearing PUP. Let's go to Steven from Massachusetts real quick. Steven, you got 20 seconds, pal. My omelet's been waiting for me in the kitchen. I've done 2 live streams. I've been live for 2 hours. I know I work for you, Steven, but you got high expectations for me. Let me go eat my omelet. Hit me with a 20-second question.
All right.
I'm just kidding, bro.
20. I have 20 seconds. Just a question. How do you feel about the Steelers backfield between Najee Harris and Jalen Warren? How are you looking into that for 2023? Are you trying to go win that, or are you trying to see if they add somebody in that backfield? What do you think about that?
I don't think they add anybody big. I'll let Ron answer this after I do. But I think I like Najee Harris at the right value, but I'm certainly not expecting him to return to the top 5 running back expectation that we once, I think, all had in the fantasy industry. He's got to prove it to me before I even remotely think of him in that league again. However, I do feel like there's opportunity for him to rebound and become a top 10 running back again. In all of our eyes, I know he played it like that at times. I don't even forget what he finished as, RB what. But let me look it up while Ron talks. Ron, how do you feel about that running back rotation? I think you've said before that you think that Warren's going to be heavily involved, but not enough to take away from Najee.
Yeah, well, I think
I think Najee at the end of the year, he was getting back to his old form. He was jumping over players. He was running through players. He was using the stiff arm. I think he's going to have a good year coming up. And I think Warren's going to complement him great, and I think they'll both be able to get good production. I think Pittsburgh trusts Warren in that role. I think he earned that role. And I don't know if they really add to it. They were using TJ's younger brother a lot, sometimes down by the goal line as a misdirect, and he was getting a few touchdowns. So I don't know if they really add to it, but I think going into next year that it's going to be Najee, and just to give him relief, Warren's a nice compliment, and Warren he's elusive and he can run and he can get you some good games. He can get you some good yardage. He's a good second down back to have. I think they're going to utilize him well. I've been drafting him, especially if I have Najee, I'd definitely draft him later on. You can get him at a really good value. I mean, way down, almost for free.
I'm actually really surprised where Najee finished last year. Najee was running back 14. He had really bad yards per carry at 3.8, but 1,000 yards rushing, 7 rushing touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns, 41 receptions. So he still had 10 touchdowns. I mean, a lot better than I actually remember, to be honest.
Yeah, at the end of the season, he was pouring it on, Smitty, but you don't follow him as close as I do. So, I mean, I was disappointed in Najee to the first part and middle of the season, but at the end of the season, he was looking back to his old self. So
80 yards.
I think he's going to be
100.
And the value you can get him now in the 4th and 5th round is awesome value.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that.
You guys think that if they end up like bringing in like any like offensive linemen, because that's always been like the thing that they said that Pittsburgh get better on the offensive line. If they do like address that, does that change like to bring up Najee's value from the 4th to 5th round, so maybe he shoots up because they fixed the O line, or what do you think that he would just stay where he is?
Well, I think they're already talking. They're going to focus on offensive line this year. They're also going to focus on CBs. That's why I think they're going to target Joey Porter in the first round. And like I said earlier, they get the 17th and they get the 32nd pick, which is basically a first-round pick because Miami lost their first-round pick. So, I think, and they're gonna tackle the defense and offensive line. That's what they're going to use their top picks on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's important. The ADP comment Ron made, it's important where you're getting them. If you're expecting top 5 to 10 running back numbers and you're drafting them in the second round, you're setting yourself up for disaster. But or maybe not disaster, but potential disaster. But the fact that his ADP is like in round 4 or 5 is completely baked in. Like these stats right here. This is great. These are great numbers for a round 4 or 5 player. So if he ends up going back to, running 4.4 yards per carry, 4.3, whatever, and he gets 12 touchdowns, he pulls in. Let's say he doesn't even get more receptions. He gets 40 receptions for 250, and he gets 1,200 yards on the ground and has 12 total touchdowns. That's a home run from round 4 or 5. So I think it all depends on where you get him. But certainly there's risk involved, but the risk is very diminished at 4th or 5th round value. So I like him.
If you can 4th or 5th, and then you could get Jalen right now. You can get him down like 16th, 17th, 18th round, in a draft. You can get him like really cheap. So that's a good combo to have, and you get both players at a discount.
Yeah. Hob G says, go eat my omelet. Thank you, Hob G, for the super chat. I'm going to let both of you guys go because I do have to go eat. Brucey, is Brucey gone? Bruce left. All right, I'll see you guys both. I'll see you guys both at 7 p.m.
All right, I'll be on there and call back in for some more questions. Thanks, Minnie.
You do that, pal. Appreciate you, Steven. All right, Ron, appreciate you, man.
Steven? That's Steven? Okay. I always like to try to keep who's my fellow Steeler fans.
Yeah, Steven from Massachusetts.
Yeah, let's put the strike away, warm it up, and talk to you later. It sounds like you're losing your voice a little bit. What happened?
My voice is always gone because I go live so much. I haven't had my true voice back for a year and a half. So
yeah. All right. Well, go eat, Smitty.
All right, later, Ron.
We'll talk. Take care, chat. We'll see you all later. Too.
Later. Appreciate you. There you have it. Javonte Williams is said to maybe be ready for week 1, or will be. Very, very far out. This is just, GM talk, positivity talk. But it's better than negative talk. It's better than setback talk, I mean, in a nutshell, I addressing the video I made earlier today, an hour before this news broke, saying Javonte Williams was probably likely starting the year on PUP. That's what we had. That information was what we had. Then like an hour after my video drops, this news drops, the GM talking like he could be ready for week 1. Could be GM talk, might not be. But we have to reassess and recalibrate, like my video said. The moment we got new information, we need to recalibrate. Well, recalibrating, what does that look like? It looks like us being a little more optimistic, but we still need to tread lightly. We need to escape the NFL draft. If Javonte escapes the NFL draft without a big name running back being added, that is a huge win. And maybe he's not fully ready for week 1. Maybe they ease him in. Maybe he doesn't start until week 2 or 3. Regardless, this is good news. And hopefully it leads to more good news. And just know that we're more optimistic today than we were yesterday. And I really still love this guy's talent. He was in my top 5, 1 to 5 running backs for a reason last year before he tore his ACL. Let's just hope he gets a fair shake and he gets healthy and he can do Javonte things. Appreciate you all. Super chat from Ryan. Ryan says Zay failed his econometrics exam this morning. We studied together last night. He's a good kid, says Ryan. Okay, Ryan. Appreciate your super chat. Don't be talking about, is that Zay? You're talking about Zay Flowers failing exams. Look, Zay Flowers has a lot on his mind. If he fails his econometrics, are you talking about economics or econometrics? Something tells me you might have failed it, Ryan. Ryan, were you looking over your shoulder? Were you copying off Zay Flowers? Appreciate your super chat. I don't understand. I think Ryan's joking, but we'll see. I love Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a smart kid. All right, appreciate you, Ryan. I've never studied econometrics. Econometrics? What's econometrics? Let's look that up. I'm a psych major in journalism. I got a master's in journalism and a degree in psych. We didn't do econometrics. What is econometrics? Uses economic theory, mathematics, and statistical quantify economic phenomena. Well, I'd fail that too. What are you talking about? New report: Seahawks are looking at the QBs in the draft. Says Frake eyeball emojis. I'm not joking. He failed it. His econometrics. Okay. Flush that $5 down the toilet, says Travis. No, I appreciate his super chat. Ryan's super chatting us to let us know that he's in a class with Zay Flowers. Call in real quick. My omelet can wait for this one. Dial into the show real quick and explain to me what you're talking about here, Ryan. I really would like to hear this in detail. Let's break news about his econometrics exam. Okay, because no one else is talking about this. Only the Fantasy Football Show. Ryan, dial in. Ryan? I've got film on Zay that GMs want, says Ryan. Ryan, dial in. If Ryan doesn't dial in, we know Ryan's capping. Okay? Let's just say that. Ron Rivera says Sam Howell is not their starter. We'll see about that. We've heard different things. Early morning, Smitty. What's up, Nick? This is our second live stream. My omelet sitting on the counter. Cold as can be. Probably frozen at this point. Frozen still. Good thing the house is really cold. It's still cold here in Arizona right now. Good thing my house is freezing because my omelet is sitting basically in a chilled environment. And I need to throw it in the pan and warm it up. Where is Ryan? Ryan, where are you? Dial in 602-635-3664. Waiting for you to hear about this econometrics exam. Ryan, dial in. Niner Nick, Niner Rick, same thing. You get a little picky there, Niner Rick, to be upset that I even remembered, Nick or Rick. It's very similar, same thing. Said he's in the library. Okay, I'm gonna go eat my omelet. Appreciate you all. I'll see you all later. Don't be so hard on Zay Flowers. I wouldn't pass that exam either. Later.
It's time for some revenge, Revenge tour, revenge tour. Revenge tour.
Maybe a little Javonte Williams added to this list later. We'll see. Hopefully. Later, everybody.